Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Good to have you here, as always. So this week, I'm looking at TikTok. Well, TikTok and skinheads and Nazis and haters and racists and nationalists all using the cringiest app in the world to promote their hatred and spread their propaganda in the most cringiest of ways. So yeah, let's get into that. Now, I've never really been a fan of TikTok. I mean, I used it when I first started my YouTube channel because it was a great way to promote for a little bit. But I never really spent a lot of time of it. I just couldn't deal with it. But then a while back, I actually opened the app and I stumbled across a couple of skinhead accounts. One was a sharp skinhead. Another one was a trad skin. And then there was a couple of skinbirds, a couple of, young lasses dressing the part, singing to the music. I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. So I kept looking at more. But then, of course, as TikTok noticed my interest, the algorithm did what it does best, and it started showing more skinhead accounts. And that's when I noticed the pattern. Most of these accounts weren't about the culture or the music or the fashion even. They were just straight up racist skinheads. I mean, at first I wasn't entirely sure because, everything's kind of changed, especially with the codes and the emojis and the numbers and all that. I was seeing all these different numbers and I was like, are they racist? But then, yeah, once I started seeing some really familiar patterns and wording and stuff like that, I was like, right, okay, yeah, racist skinheads. The message was pretty clear as well, with what a lot of these accounts were saying, what they're trying to get across. But then what really threw me was how cringe the content was. I mean, really cringy. Seeing these gangly skinheads dancing to teen pop songs and techno, or wearing balaclavas, or walking around abandoned buildings, posing for the camera, and then boot videos, like hundreds of them, just boots. Are you recruiting? Is it propaganda, or you just got some bizarre boot fetish? I really couldn't tell with that one. I was in a bit of disbelief. Seriously, who are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to recruit with this? People who have a boot fetish? But then, of course, there was the broader far-right groups. Yeah, the racists, the nationalists, the haters, and a lot of them from Australia, of course. As, trust me, from my experience, Australia is one of the most racist countries I've ever lived in. I mean, I had learned how to become a racist living in Australia. But here's the thing, they all look really just pathetic, like desperate tryhards. And, TikTok did make it easy for them to spread. It's a perfect platform for cringe propaganda. Moderation is inconsistent and the guidelines are easy to bypass. And that's one of the things I noticed. They could overlay music that wasn't in the TikTok library and it wouldn't get banned. And a lot of this stuff really shouldn't have been on there. And it's because TikTok algorithm favors engagement over content quality. So they can post videos with coded language, emojis, and clips that skirt the rules, and the system will just push them out to unsuspecting viewers. It's like watching a chat full of preteen girls, but instead of boy band gossip, it's hate, poorly disguised. Oh, but then I came across the pedo hunter skinheads. Ooh, full balaclavas, masked, standing in a forest with captions like Tara 14 meeting Ahmed 45. Not an actual single video of them ever meeting anyone, just them walking into a forest and doing nothing, So in reality, it's just that's all they ever did. I mean, sometimes, they're carrying a Hello Kitty backpack or, a little kid's bag or, a little kid's toy or something, which just I didn't understand at all. But my personal favorite, one dancing with a Hello Kitty balloon while the other trots around with a unicorn hobby horse. Warriors of the white race, I mean, apparently you've got to have a laugh, right? But it kind of made me realize that, maybe selling hate just isn't working for them anymore. TikTok's audience just doesn't buy it. And the people who engage with this content, mostly sad, pimply-faced kids spending all day on their phones because they don't have friends. And some of these white skinheads Sorry, they wouldn't even meet Hitler's standards of Aryan ancestry. They wave the flag and post their videos and act like they're part of some grand movement. Yeah. But then in Australia, you've got some real, interesting nutters, like one called Aussie Fella. This guy's posting about race and anti-immigration and, all while hiding behind this mask and goofy glasses and clearly a mouth breather. But sorry, it's hard to take him seriously. But here's the thing, this isn't just personal observation. TikTok has actually become a real hotspot for far-right extremist content. Research shows that its recommendation system can push users towards these ideologies, even when they aren't actively looking for it. Users searching for unrelated content, politics, music, even culture, can end up seeing far-right material, sometimes in the lead up to elections, because the algorithm is designed to favour engagement. I'm going to look at that. So anything that gets likes, comments, or shares, even if it's extremist, does get amplified. So that means hateful or divisive content spreads further than it should. Content moderation on TikTok is inconsistent, to say the least. The platform does have rules against hate speech and incitement to violence, but enforcement varies, and that's why new accounts keep popping up to replace ones that get banned. It's like whack-a-mole, they get deleted and the next one pops up. And this isn't just a problem for individual users. TikTok's global reach allows this content to influence public opinion and political discourse across countries, which is particularly concerning in places like Australia. In Australia, far-right groups have been exploiting these weaknesses. A network of neo-Nazi TikTok accounts post white nationalist content and tries to recruit users. The National Socialist Network, NSN, is a major player, actively promoting its ideologies both online and offline. They're the ones doing the marches with the banners and seaguiling and fucking yelling white power and all that shit. And the Australian government has actually acknowledged the growing threat. In 2021, the Sonnenkrieg Division was added to the list of designated terrorist groups. But despite these efforts, experts say more must be done to prevent radicalization, particularly among young people, especially on TikTok. You look ahead, the threat is not theoretical. Coming up on August 31st this year, far-right groups are actually organising a series of rallies across Australia under the March for Australia banner. These protests focus on anti-immigration rhetoric, like blaming housing shortages, infrastructure strain, environmental issues on mass immigration policies. But these rallies are clearly tied to far-right groups and white nationalist groups, including the NSN. The government has actually come out and condemned these marches and told people do not go to them, do not attend. But still, online promotion for the August event does continue, particularly on TikTok and X. Authorities in some states haven't received formal notices of assembly, raising questions about law enforcement readiness. But despite the serious implications, what I've seen online is a mix of pathetic attempts at propaganda and some genuinely interesting subcultures. The cringe content dominates, dancing balaclavas, unicorn hobby horses, but the trans skinhead resurgence is a bit of a bright spot amongst it all. People genuinely enjoying the music, the style, the community without the hate. That's cool. That contrast is a bit striking though. TikTok and all its flaws exposes both the ridiculousness of modern extremist recruitment and the resilience of general cultural communities. So if you are on TikTok, just be aware the platform can and does push extremist content to unsuspecting users. You can just be looking at a couple of skinbirds next minute, you're just seeing nothing but skinny Nazis from Eastern Europe, and their boots. What's with the boot fetish? But most of it is just laughably ineffective propaganda aimed at recruiting people who don't exist outside their bedrooms. But at the same time, there is an opportunity to highlight the positive side. Resurgent cultural communities, opposition voices, people calling out the hate. I've seen a lot of that, which is good to see. And for those trying to promote racism online, honestly, get off your phones, educate yourselves, and if you're going to dance online, at least learn how to fucking dance. And stop posting boot videos. No one wants to see them, seriously. But yeah, TikTok is cringe. Everyone knows it. Its algorithm spreads hate unintentionally, its moderation is inconsistent, and yet is an important mirror of what modern extremist movements look like. Mostly pathetic, desperate, very ineffective. But it's also a place where culture, resistance, and a little bit of joy can actually survive. The challenge is knowing the difference and not getting sucked into the nonsense while understanding the very real threats that still exist offline. All right, so there you go. That's my insights into the cringe fest that TikTok has become. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning into this one and enduring through all these videos. But I will see you on the channel next week for another awesome video. And hey, if you want to keep seeing more videos like this, all you're going to do is like this video, subscribe down below, and hit the little bell to get notified. You'll be seeing new videos from me every week. Live streams, shorts, a whole lot, whole 9 yards. And if you want to keep supporting me, supporting this channel, there's many different ways you can do it. You can buy me a coffee. Cheers. You can donate to the cause, a good cause. All the links are in the description below. Have a great week. Stay safe. Peace out. And love and light to you. And no, I'm not doing a dance video or a boot video. No, not me. Not this guy.